हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम टू इन्फिनिटी आईएएस एकेडमी। मैं सागर शर्मा दिल्ली के सेंटर से इन्फिनिटी आईएएस एकेडमी के यूट्यूब चैनल में आपका स्वागत करता हूं। एंड जैसे कि आपको पता है, हमने यूपीएससी मेंस के पर्सपेक्टिव से एक इन्वायरमेंटल कन्वेंशंस की सीरीज स्टार्ट की थी। आज उसी को हम आगे बढ़ाते हुए दी अनदर इम्पॉर्टेंट इन्वायरमेंटल कन्वेंशन दैट विल बी टेकिंग इज क्योटो प्रोटोकॉल. Now, Kyoto Protocol, most of the students, you might be aware that it is an important environmental convention, and this convention is related to the greenhouse gas emissions, that is the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions. Now, humans are also responsible for increasing the greenhouse gas emissions both directly and indirectly. So, this protocol, it deals with the greenhouse gas emissions. Now, this protocol, it came into force in the year 1997, and India has also ratified both the first commitment period and the second commitment period of the Kyoto Protocol. Now, the first commitment period was limited till 2012, the year 2012, and the second commitment period, it started from 2012 to 2020. Now, the second commitment period is known as the Doha Amendment to the Kyoto Protocol, and after this, now let's move further. Now, this protocol, it applies to total 7 greenhouse gases. Here I have listed the 7 greenhouse gases. The 7th one, that is the nitrogen trifluoride, it was added after the Doha Amendment. Now, the first 6 greenhouse gases to which the protocol applies is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride. Now, this the list that is mentioned over here, now it forms an important part as the examiner can test you in the UPSC prelims also and the UPSC mains also. Now, this is important from both the perspectives, so you need to memorize the name of these gases, and remember that this nitrogen trifluoride, it was added in when the Doha Amendment to the Kyoto Protocol, it came into force, that is during the second commitment period from 2012 to 2020. Now, the other important aspects of the Kyoto Protocol. Now, Kyoto Protocol has some annexes in it. Now, these annexes, like the Annex 1, the Annex 2, and then there are non-annex countries. Now, India lies in the non-annex country. Now, there is also Annex A and Annex B. Now, in Annex 1, there are these include the list of the countries, that is the developed countries, right? And in the Annex 2, it includes the Annex 2 countries, it includes the other countries which are not the part of the Annex 1 countries. The non-annex country, it includes the developing countries like India and China. Also, Annex A, it contains the list of the greenhouse gases, and Annex B, it contains the reduction targets which are given to the developed countries, that is the countries which are listed in the Annex 1. Now, Annex A, I told you that it contains the list of the 6 greenhouse gases, and nitrogen trifluoride, it was added in the second compliance period during the Doha round or the Doha Amendment. Now, moving ahead further. Now, as I told you that it is an annex based structure, and it is based on this the rules and provision of the annex, and the Kyoto Protocol, it is based on the common but differentiated responsibility. Now what does this term, the common but differentiated responsibility, means? Now, as you know that developed countries, they started a bit early on the developmental path. If we talk about the industrial revolution era, so there are some countries like England, United States, they have started early in their development journey. So they were responsible for the greenhouse gas emissions. If we compare it to the if we take the historic past into the focus, right? Now, what happens is that these countries, they have already played their role in emitting the greenhouse gas, and they have increased the emissions to the extent that it has destroyed the environment. Now, the developing countries, when it was their turn to develop and to start on their path of development, now when you start on the path of development, then you will be also taking this journey, and then the emissions from these developing countries would also increase. But as but the developed countries, they have already done the emissions. So in order to save the environment from degradation, every country on this earth has a common responsibility. But the differentiated responsibility is in the sense because the developed countries have already played their part and already, depleted the environment. So there should be some differentiation on the basis of the targets that are given to the developed and the developing countries. So that is what lies behind the idea of common but differentiated responsibilities, right? Now this is the common but differentiated responsibility and respective capability. Now respective capability is also another thing that you need to understand and remember, that respective capability takes into focus the various countries' capability to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, because now the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions requires both money and technology. Now technology, it also comes with a lot of research and development. So for developing that technology also, the money that goes into research and development, you need to have that money also. So that is why it is about the capability. So the developing countries, they have less capability than the developed countries in order to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Now moving further, it recognized that due to economic development, I made this. Now this is a repetitive statement which I explained right now. And the protocol, it's only binding for the industrialized nations, that is the nations which are developed. And because they have the greater burden on them, as they have acknowledged that they are mostly to blame for the current high levels of the greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere. Now these are the annexes. I told you the Annex 1, it consists of industrialized countries. Annex 2A, it is a subgroup of Annex 1 countries, and these countries are required to give financial assistance and technology to developing country. Remember these annex and you need to be clear with the respective countries which will lie in which annexes, right? So you don't need to remember the name of each country, only the broad outline, like the developed countries are included in this annex and the developing countries are included in this annex. Now non-annex, it includes developing countries like India, Brazil and China. And these countries, the non-annex countries, they do not have the legally binding targets or compulsory targets like the Annex 1 country or the industrialized nation have. Now moving ahead further. Now this Annex B, now this gives Annex 1 countries or the developed countries the targets to reduce the emission. I have mentioned this earlier. Now Doha Amendment, it was the amendment that was made to the Kyoto Protocol, means when the first commitment period it exhausted or finished, then the second commitment period started, and it is famously known with the name of Doha Amendment. And the important aspect of this Doha Amendment is that that nitrogen trifluoride was added as a greenhouse gas. Now this Doha Amendment, I told you that for the second commitment period it added in the 2012 and 20 period, and in 2015 it was the Kyoto Protocol was replaced with the another pact, that is the Paris Climate Agreement. Now it was the Paris Climate Agreement, it was another pact. It was not it was not brought to completely replace the Kyoto Protocol, as Doha Amendment, it renewed the period. So you need to know about this differentiation. And the Kyoto Protocol, it has three mechanisms through which the developed country, they are able to subsidize the projects in the developed countries, or they can finance the projects which are taking place in the developing countries. Also they can also share their emissions, means in case if they exhaust their emission, they can buy emissions from the other country in order to compensate for the already exhausted emissions, or if they cross their emission targets. Now the various and these are also known as the flexibility mechanism. The various the flexibility mechanisms that are present is the international emission trading mechanism, where the countries trade their emissions, and the clean development mechanism, and the joint implementation. Right, so you need to remember these flexibility mechanism. There is also adaptation fund which was formed as a part of the Kyoto Protocol also. So this was majorly the important points regarding the Kyoto Protocol. Now Kyoto Protocol, you need to read more about this protocol. I have given you a broad outline about the protocol. Read more about the protocol. You will be getting more terms related to the protocol, as you can read about the certified emission targets, the joint implementation, the clean development mechanism. Now these are more things that you can read about the Kyoto Protocol. Also, there is one important thing, that when the countries they trade in terms of when regarding the clean development mechanism or joint implementation, means when a developed country is financing any project, so they don't have to finance a green, means they mainly finance the project which are based on the green technologies. So they do not have to finance any project which is based on the nuclear technology. So these are some important points, right? So a broad outline has been shared here. Read more about the Kyoto Protocol, keep on writing answers, as means the next step in the UPSC journey is the UPSC mains. So you need to keep writing the answers. We'll be coming with more topics, and we'll be subsequently taking more topics in the class lectures also, which are also happening right now. And that was all from my side. You can subscribe to a channel, that is the Infinity IAS Academy channel on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Thank you.